So if you're in a dimensional experience, Alejandro, and you have the thought of changing your frequency because you don't like the dimension you're in.
I'm your host, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let's begin.
My brain naturally, when it begins to create the vision of a new job or a new house or a new car or whatever, we estimate unconsciously how much money we have to make in order to buy that house or buy that car or whatever. So then we start thinking about how much more work we have to do. We have to get a second job, what we have to save, what we have to stop doing. And we're doing this as a three-dimensional body, a piece of matter, trying to create more matter or trying to change my circumstances in my life. So my dreams, I'm separate from them too, and they're way, way out in the future based on my experience of what it's going to take for me to get them. And of course, if you have the skill or the ability to make money and you know how to do it, for some people they can do it better than others, but that's not the topic here. The point is that when we're creating as matter, trying to influence matter, everything takes time, and we have to move through space back and forth to work, and it takes time and energy to finally pay off the things that we want. And that's kind of the agreement that we have in this realm. Now, when people become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, we've spent more than 10 years demystifying that process and looking at all of our research. When you dissociate from everything material or everything known that's wired in the memory bank of your thinking neocortex, and you slow down your brainwaves from beta to alpha, lower levels of alpha, and into theta, you're shutting the lights out in the neocortex. You're unplugging from your three-dimensional reality, and you're unplugging from everything known. You're disinvesting your attention out of your environment. And what is your environment made of? Objects, things, bodies, people, places. You're disconnecting from your own physical body. You're not thinking about whether you're hungry or pain in your back. If you're not thinking about what's going to happen next in the future or what just happened in the past, if you can get beyond your body, your environment, and time, and no longer put your attention on any of those things and work on settling your body into the present moment, change your brainwaves from beta to alpha to theta, lights go out in the neocortex, and all of a sudden, you start dissociating from everything physical and material, and you're passing through the eye of the needle. You're passing through that realm, going from matter to energy. Now, when you get to this realm called time-space, there's an infinite amount of time. Now, this is that dimensional world where there's nothing physical or material. Physical material that you experience with your senses is in the three-dimensional reality. This reality you cannot experience with your senses. You can only experience with your awareness. So there's some unlearning that has to take place here, because if we're in the habit of thinking that we're our bodies, and we're entering this realm, the moment we start saying, how do I unfold, or how do I connect to this invisible field? Well, if I think I'm my body and I'm separate from the field, then I got to break that habit, and that takes time. And then if you think you have to go somewhere in a realm where there is no space, if there's no space, there can't be time, because moving through space creates time. So if there's no space, then there's no time. So if you have an infinite amount of time now, and you're connected to energy, to frequency, vibration, and frequency carries information. So there's information, there's possibility, there's the realm of thought, it's the realm of awareness or consciousness. This is the other sense that has nothing to do with your five senses. It has everything to do with your ability to become aware. And in this realm of time-space, where there's an infinite amount of time, and you're connected to frequency or energy, if you could find the frequency or have a thought of something, every thought in this realm has a frequency, and if you could feel the frequency of that thought, in this realm where you don't have to go anywhere because there's nowhere to go. And if you're connected to source, or you're aware of it, or you're connected to a greater frequency, the rules change. Because in this realm of thought, if you're creating from this place, you're in the realm of thought, and every thought having a frequency, or said another way, thoughts manifest in this realm. So if you're in a dimensional experience, Alejandro, and you have the thought of changing your frequency because you don't like the dimension you're in, I've had that happen to me enough times. If I get afraid in that dimension, then my fear is going to drive a certain set of thoughts. Then that world is going to become very real for me. But if I don't like what I'm experiencing and I can raise my frequency to a greater frequency, then if I could do that properly, I would evolve out of that dimension into the next, and so forth. So there are different rules that take place in the realm of time-space that we have to relearn. We're not our physical bodies any longer. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to taste. You're in a realm where you're more conscious and you're more aware. And we're teaching people then how to tune into different thoughts that have different frequencies and become more of the frequency, or more of that feeling, and become more of it and less of them, and surrender into that experience. Once the door opens and the brain is transducing the frequencies into profound imagery, then there's a whole nother set of things that has to happen, because in that unknown experience, it's not going to be anything you could ever predict. It's not going to be anything you could ever imagine. It's not going to be anything that you could ever expect, because that would be the predictable or the known. This is the unknown. It's unpredictable. It's the quantum. Everything's connected. More things make sense. More things are interrelated, and there's less separation. So when that happens, the inner experience that the person is having is literally reshaping the circuitry in the brain. That's what experience does. And the feeling that they have that reaches their body, that we have called emotions, that tend to be chemical or more material, tend to be more energy and more electric. They're a greater energy. And the arousal then wakes us up a little bit more, and the more aroused we feel. But the arousal is not coming from fear, it's not coming from pain, suffering, it's not coming from aggression or anger. The arousal is kind of an ecstasy, it's a bliss, it's an awakening. That kind of awakening then that takes place, that arousal, moves the brain into peak coherent patterns that are called gamma brainwave patterns. And the brain is experiencing the inner world is way more real than the world we live in. And the signal that travels to the body, many times, if it's more energy than chemistry, rewrites a biological program. So the person's transformed in a matter of seconds, or better yet, they're changing a pattern in energy in the quantum field, and it begins to have an effect in matter, because it's not matter that's making the field, it's the field that's making matter. So we're teaching people how to do this. And sometimes there's a healing that takes place. Sometimes there's a mystical experience that takes place. And the only thing that I can tell you when that mystical experience takes place, and it's an unknown, is you only have two choices. Be afraid of it, which we all do in the beginning, or surrender into it and relax into it and let go completely. And when you do, you're initiated. You're starting to learn about another part of yourself. It's not the part of yourself that you already know, that's the known. It's the part of yourself that you are getting to know that has nothing to do with three-dimensional reality. So the signature that's created of wholeness, the signature that's created of more love or more life or more gratitude or more grace, or you're elevated or more blissful or more whole, whatever that is changing you, so that when you open your eyes, you begin to see the world differently. Not how you used to see it, how you used to be, but who you're being now. So in interdimensional experiences, there are many times that the door opens and we go into the habit of thinking that it's going to be like a three-dimensional experience. It's not. And a lot of times you lose the experience because there's an emotion involved, or you get caught up in some belief that you're still your body, or you get lost in a state where you're confused. But if you could remember, it's the realm of thought, and you could slow things down. This is what I practice. I practice slowing things down and then getting very present, getting very clear. And I sometimes take my time and I say presence, clarity, and I wait for things to brighten up, to get clear. Empowerment, wholeness, whatever it is, now I'm ready to experience. If I'm not that in the realm of thought and I start getting caught up in my old self again, a lot of times I lose it. And so it's a process. Being in interdimensional experiences and having those moments is a process of discovery. There's no right or no wrong. There's just different rules. And in this realm where everything is connected, in this realm of thought, in the realm of the unknown, of the unpredictable, of frequency, of energy, the more coherent your nervous system is, the more coherent your brain and heart are, the more the Wi-Fi signal is expanded, the more resonance that's taking place between your orderly, coherent energy and that unified field, that invisible field of energy that connects everything material. When there's an entrainment that's taking place, then the brain then all of a sudden can begin to transduce it into really powerful imagery. And it makes sense sometimes, and I can tell you, people talk to me about this all the time. They say it doesn't make any sense, and I say, I know. It's not making sense to you now. You just pierced through a veil. You got a little glimpse of what it is, but you didn't see the whole picture. Don't worry about it. I was talking to my son about this during Christmas. Don't worry about it. Go after it again, you'll pop through somewhere else, and then another few months you'll pop through somewhere else, and all of a sudden, all of those different things that appeared as separate experiences somehow will make more sense to you. You're piercing through a veil, you're piercing through a level of consciousness. And it's not something that we're going to be able to make sense of in one experience. It's going to take numerous experiences for it to make sense, because I guarantee who you think you are, without a doubt, is not who you really are. And that unknown self, as you start connecting with it, you're going to find more pleasure in connecting with that than any other human being. You're going to be more mystified by it than any Netflix comedy or drama or whatever. You're going to be more engrossed and more contemplative than watching any news channel. I promise you, that unknown self that already exists, that you have to make the time for and develop a relationship with, changes everything. And when we create from this place, from the field, from wholeness, from connectedness instead of from separation, that's when it gets exciting. So my advice to anybody who's interested in this is, I've done this so many times. When I get there, I say to myself, when I get there, I got to remember to not do this. I got to remember to not do that. I got to remember to think like this. I got to remember I'm not my body. I got to remember that I'm not separate, that I'm connected, that I'm a thought. These are things that you have to keep practicing, keep reviewing. And if that's occupying your mind while you're sitting in traffic and you're thinking about that, the next time this happens, God, I just want it to happen again, because when it happens, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. You're rehearsing. You're installing the circuitry for the next experience.